Everyone, I'm Dino Bidala, and welcome to tonight's Dino Bidala Show on SiriusXM Channel 127. It is Wednesday, April 7th. I'm here as always to be your MBFF. And I'll tell you, we're watching the GOP go ballistic. They're saying things that don't even make sense because they are freaking out. And what they're freaking out over is the Major League Baseball and corporations boycott. And here's the bottom line why. They know it works. You know, it's funny. The GOP told us corporations are people. Remember that? Corporations are people. Well, apparently the GOP wants the money from these people, but don't want these people to talk. They don't want them to stand up to their voter suppression laws. In fact, Mitch McConnell literally yesterday, we'll play the clip, said corporations should stay out of politics. And then he added, but they should donate to campaigns, meaning GOP campaigns, of course. What we're seeing, though, in response to Major League Baseball and other corporations, Coca-Cola, Delta, nearly 200, come out slamming the GOP's efforts to make it harder to vote, is a GOP that's ballistic. You've got Mitch McConnell threatening serious consequences. You've got Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz saying they're going to strip antitrust exemption away from Major League Baseball. How dare they stand up for black and brown people being able to vote? What's wrong with you? It's un-American. But there's a reason why, and history tells us why. These types of boycotts using sports coupled with corporations and other celebrities and corporations having events or not having events there have worked in the past. And we'll go through it in more detail on my show, but I'll give you three quick examples. 2016 is probably the most recent example, the most instructive. 2016, North Carolina GOP, they control the state legislature and the governorship at the time, signed an anti-LGBT law known as the bathroom bill. You might remember that. It was a way to demonize transgender Americans. Well, the result was pretty swift. The NBA, just like Major League Baseball this time, but the NBA said, we're pulling our All-Star game from the state of North Carolina next year because of this. Other corporations joined in the boycott. Athletes, celebrities from Bruce Springsteen to Maroon 5 didn't have events. PayPal did not even open a corporate office they were going to open there in protest of this. According to Associated Press, if this boycott continued for 10 years, the state would have lost over $3 billion. And they were losing a lot of money. And it was a black eye. What happened? A year later, they repealed the law. It worked. It worked. Despite the fact at the time the GOP governor, Pat McCrory, was all defiant, like Brian Kemp in Georgia now, saying, these people are lying about what this law is about, and how dare they come in here and tell us how to live our life, and they think they're elitist and they can control us. Well, a year later, changed the law. Brian kept saying the same things right now. Brian Kemp, he's a tough guy. We'll see where it is a year from now. And there's other examples. Arizona, 2 different times it happened. In 2014, the Republican state legislature passed another anti-LGBT law. You might see a pattern. This one was to allow business owners to refuse service to anyone who was gay or lesbian on religious grounds. Yeah, religious grounds. But before the governor could sign it, Jan Brewer at the time, there was a huge uproar. The NFL, who said they had the Super Bowl scheduled for the next year there, said, the bill gets signed, we're going to move it. You had other corporations, Apple, American Airlines, and numerous corporations denounce it, saying that we're not going to do business in the state of Arizona if this becomes the law. It's inconsistent with our values. What happened? It built to a loud crescendo. Jan Brewer, the Republican governor, despite Republicans in the state overwhelmingly supporting it, she vetoed it. Same thing in Arizona happened all the way in 1990s. 1990s, Martin Luther King Day was a national holiday in 1986, but Arizona, you might recall, refused to enact it as a state holiday. They even put it on the ballot. And in the state, people voted against making it a holiday. Well, what happened is, again, the NFL, Super Bowl, they canceled their Super Bowl and moved it to another state. You had other corporations, you had Stevie Wonder and other celebrities say, we're not doing anything in Arizona. So this was not the legislature. This was a referendum. They put the referendum, they put it back on the ballot after all of this. Guess what? It passes by 62%. So even voters who might deep down are bigots and white supremacists and don't want to honor Martin Luther King, don't want to feel the pain of a corporate boycott. They understand it hurts them. It hurts middle class and lower class more than the wealthy. So they're the ones that turned on it. So the GOP has every reason to be freaking out. They have every reason to make every threat in the world. This is a loser. You know, they might be going backwards as a party, an authoritarian organization, a fascist party, a fascist movement. That's what they are. Increasingly white supremacists, increasingly not wanting brown and black people to vote in this country. That's what they're about. But corporate America is not moving that way. Corporate America sees a much bigger audience of people who embrace diversity, even those who might be Republicans, who are not down with racism, not down with voter suppression. And I think there's a little lesson for Brian Kemp in Georgia. That Republican governor in North Carolina, Pat McCrory, who was defiant and signed that anti-LGBT bill and said, we're never going to change it. Guess what happened when he came to run for re-election 7 months later? He lost. He was beaten by Roy Cooper, a Democrat, who's the governor. Brian Kemp's up for re-election next year. And the question is, in Georgia, what is more important for the voters? Economic prosperity or suppressing the vote of black and brown people? And I think in a year from now, if there's enough pain, the GOP will suffer an electoral backlash as well. And Brian Kemp will lose, maybe to Stacey Abrams if she runs. And that would be the fitting conclusion to this, sending a message to Republicans around the country that the days of white supremacy, the days of Jim Crow 2.0 are over. You got to come up with ideas to get voters, not suppress the vote of people who don't like you. It'll be stunning. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about that more on my show tonight, channel 127 from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. Again, if you don't subscribe to SiriusXM, go to the website. They're free trials. Do a free trial. Call into my show. Be a part of our family. We got a lot of work to do. We got to save America from these Republicans who are literally talking out loud about it's better to have less people vote than more. Their idea of democracy is only white men voting. It's really back to the framers of the Constitution stuff. Thanks for tuning into the preview of tonight's Dino Bidala Show.